Well, Bill and Sylvia, thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourselves?
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Sylvia Nye. I am a high school and university professor. I teach juniors and seniors at the high school level, and the seniors are taking a freshman college level class from me. And this is my husband, Bill.
Hi, my name is Bill Nye. I'm a mechanical designer. Work for a company that does plastic co-extrusion dies. Sylvia and I have been married for 17 years. The past weekend.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
celebrated the anniversary.
I have two wonderful girls. That's about all the interesting stuff there.
That's wonderful. Any secrets to 17 years of happily being married?
Oh,
Remembering why you fell in love in the first place, I think, is kind of covers everything.
that would do it. Yeah. Having our own corners occasionally.
I was at my parents' church last weekend, and they had a singer visiting, and he said he'd been married 33 years, and his secret was that he and his wife goes out to dinner twice a week, and that was his secret. He goes on Monday, and she goes on Thursday.
I like it. We'll have to remember that.
But did y'all know that NASA is planning to send people to the moon in 2024?
Yes, I did. My brother actually works for NASA. So.
Oh, really? What does he do?
He's a mechanical engineer. He works, I think currently he's with the Orion program and crew integration. So yeah, he's been there for a long time. He's been there since the shuttle days. So.
Oh, and he works for NASA, or does he work for like Lockheed Martin?
He worked. It was a company called, or it was a conglomeration of companies called USA. I think he bounces around back and forth. I'm not sure which one he's with now. Currently, it depends on what contract they're on. So he changes based on contract, I believe. I don't know what company he works for currently, but yeah, he's at NASA though. Yes.
And for a long time, he worked in that giant pool where the astronauts do all their training and submersible training. So
definitely envious of his career path.
Well, I mean, Sylvia and I went to a high school with the gentleman Jeffrey Perkins. I don't know if you kept in touch with him.
A little bit, not a lot.
But he's actually works at Lockheed Martin, and he's working on the Orion capsule.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Well, he might be working with my brother. Is he in Houston or?
He's in Houston.
Yeah, maybe working with my brother. You might know him.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'll have to ask him. What's your brother's name?
Zane Nye.
Zane Nye. That's cool. And how did you all find out that NASA was planning to send people to the moon in 2024?
Well, like I've kind of followed space since I was a kid. So I mean, not hardcore, but I've always been interested in the space program. So I've just known throughout time, kept up with when they were going to do what programs and everything.
And NASA's kind of a family hobby,
right.
Obsession. So we spent a lot of time talking about it.
And of course, with your brother, I'm sure that's a constant source of inspiration and information too.
Yeah, sometimes, occasionally we talk about it. We try to keep up with it. Sometimes it's more of what's actually going on at work more than the whole program type situation. Who he's complaining about or who he's happy with, that kind of thing.
He'll tell you all the coolest people to hang out with while you're there.
Right.
I'll have to talk to him.
Yeah, I'll hook you up. Yeah.
Yeah, don't you volunteer at the space station sometimes? At NASA, I mean?
Yeah, I volunteer at the Space Center Houston. So the visitor center, and they just reopened the historic Apollo 11 Mission Control Center. And
oh, did they really? Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't realize they'd opened that up already. Okay, well, awesome, very cool.
And they did a complete renovation of it. Like it's supposed to be exactly like it was at the time that Neil and Buzz landed on the moon.
Right.
And when you go there, they play a little video, but then after the video, the entire room comes alive. Like all the consoles are displaying what they were displaying, and all the screens show everything, and you get to hear the audio between like the flight controllers and the everything, and you feel like you're in that room at the time. It's just missing the people.
Right. So you're actually able to go down onto the floor now?
I'm not able to. You're still in the kind of like the
still okay.
gallery.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah, because I can't remember how many years ago, but it was before it kind of became a thing. And you used to be able to walk down on the floor and you could flip switches and everything before they closed it off. And that was really, really cool. So,
yeah, I I vaguely remember maybe doing that, but I don't know. But they've done a complete restoration of it like a couple years ago, and so now, I mean, they even have, apparently they found a whole bunch of cigarettes like embedded in the consoles and underneath it, and they saved them and used them as the actual. They have ashtrays throughout, which is
wow.
kind of
That's
helps.
interesting.
Kind of
That's
helps too.
dedication to authenticity there.
And I'm sure there were plenty around. So.
Absolutely different times. Back then, smoking was quote unquote healthy for you.
That's right. That's right. They were just doing their part to stay healthy.
Um, so what do you all think about us going back to the moon? I mean, do you think it's the right step, wrong timing? What do you think?
I think it's possibly 20 years later than it should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should have been there a long, long time ago. I, I mean, understanding the politics of the 60s, we stopped. But I just felt like we should have kept going. And yeah, we should be to Mars by now, easily,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But yeah, so that's how I feel.
Well, it's funny because right before we did this Zoom call, I saw on Facebook, a friend on Facebook was complaining about the recent, from Virgin and Amazon's launches, and complaining about all this money wasted on space travel when we have so many problems on Earth. And that's kind of a circular argument in my mind. I mean, it's kind of like saying, well, we have to pay the electric bill every month, so why bother paying the water bill? It's just going to come around. I mean, I feel like there's this concept that you can only chase one avenue of creativity or production or development. Yes, these are people who had a lot of money, and hopefully they are contributing that money to charities, but it's their money. And then they're looking at it like it's this wasted endeavor, and they don't realize how much is discovered and created, and how many jobs and how many new technologies and how many new things come out of any type of creativity and education. And I think that's probably the thing that we have the hardest time biting our tongue about when we hear the naysayers talking about any type of travel, is you got to look at the big picture.
Yeah, I think if you look back in history, most innovation is done either after wars or during wars, out of the need of defending and all of that and going to war, or in exploration. And I think out of the two choices, I think that's the better choice than going to war to create innovation. And there are obviously other needs and catastrophes bring out innovation, but I think space travel or just exploration in general is really good about bringing about innovations and pursuing more.
Yeah, I've heard, of course, a lot of people say that we have all these problems on Earth, and kind of the technique that I've taken with them is, kind of walk me through what the solution looks like. If you took $20 billion a year and completely did away with NASA and everything that it does, and you spent that 20 billion, break it down exactly how would you go and solve that problem?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, they think $20 billion. Okay, sure. A lot of money, very small budget percentage. I mean, NASA is working on such a slim budget compared to what they, went to the moon. And it's just, and look at all the things that spurred off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many innovations, so much X-ray technologies and all these different technologies that came from the space program. And, the goal of going to the moon was awesome, but what spurred off of it is even greater than
all the things we found out along the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I often wonder, what if the thing we get from space travel is some unique observation that actually opens our eyes to some fundamental new physics or science?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Could have said it better.
I mean, because can you imagine if we hadn't discovered electromagnetism, of what the world
Yeah.
would be like? I mean, on one hand, a completely useless thing to discover. On the other hand, so much use has come from it.
Right, right, exactly, yeah. Um, yeah.
So if it was safe and affordable, would y'all go to space?
Oh, you would in a
Oh, I would,
heartbeat.
yeah. Absolutely. What I'll sign up. Well, I mean, obviously safe has to be the first one.
Yeah.
Affordable would be good. But yeah, I would definitely. That's been
Um,
a dream.
and I guess before getting into the safe and affordable part, how far would you go? Would you consider just doing like a suborbital flight like Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos? Or would you like to want to go into orbit like the Inspiration 4 crew that's going in a month or so from now? Or would you go to the moon and back? Or would you immigrate to Mars?
Oh,
Well, for me, I I tend to be, I'm very much a sunlight person. I need so much sunlight in my life to function properly. So I think if it was a scenario where I'd be deprived of a lot of sunlight, I would struggle with that. So I would have to know more before I committed.
but I got windows.
Windows, yes, I know. You know what I mean, though.
Yes. So, I don't know. I wouldn't want to leave for a long period of time, I don't think, unless, of course, I could take the family and all of that with me.
Yeah, it'd be a lot to
right.
leave behind. To be a big
Right.
adjustment.
Now the moon, that's possible. That's
Yeah.
Not a super long trip.
I see that becoming a vacation spot one day.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll go vacation on the moon. That'd be awesome. But I have suborbital, definitely. I'd do that tomorrow if you offer the chance. I'll even sit in the storage bay.
As long as you had pressure and oxygen, that would be key.
Well, of course.
Those little pesky
Yeah, I
things.
love things like that. I would prefer to stay alive. Yeah, that would be good.
Well, Richard Branson is doing this kind of fundraiser through OMAS for Space for Humanity. And you can actually enter a drawing for a seat on the Virgin Galactic flight. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, he's charging what, like $250 or something like that, isn't it currently? Somewhere around there?
That's what the previous price was. They have like 600 people signed up, so they kind of have a backlog to work through. And they're talking about the price actually being initially higher than that, maybe 300.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't see spending a house to do it one time. But I mean, it's great that they're doing it, and it's great that there are people that can afford to do that to pave the way for one day just being, the next Disneyland kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I need the price to be like 10,000. That's like.
Ooh, that'd still be kind of tricky for me.
It would be, but I mean, you can see that as being like, a 60th birthday present.
Yeah.
It's like the family gets together. I mean, I'm just trying to plant these seeds now,
Exactly.
Oh, you're right.
We'll pass the word along.
We'll contact all our high school alumni and take up a donation.
Okay.
My problem, if I said something like that, there'd be a lot of people lined up to send me to not come back.
One-way trip.
I could raise a lot more money to just send me up.
That's not true, honey. I'd miss you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, two kind of humorous things. One is there was a petition circulating about not letting Jeff Bezos come back down. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see that one.
See that.
And then somebody sent me a screenshot of a Twitter comment that said, the ideal divorce is where your ex-husband gives you $40 billion and then leaves the planet, literally.
Wow, that's beating me. I just left the country.
That's true.
His birthday one year, we had planned a girls' trip to Scotland because our family's originally from Scotland. So a lot of the girls in our family planned a trip, and it ended up coinciding with his birthday. I said, "Come on, honey. How many men wish their wives would leave their country? That's the perfect birthday present."
My father-in-law said it was the best gift I've ever gotten, but I'm not even gonna go there. So I can't agree with
now
that.
it could be leave the world one day.
But Sylvia, would you consider doing what Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson did?
You mean if I had unlimited funds, would I go?
Yeah, I mean, I just forget about the money aspect and just think about the actual experience.
I would definitely do the liftoff experience, the short term like they did. I don't know if I would be ready to do more long-term space travel, but the beginning stages would be very exciting and interesting to be a part of.
Would you go orbital? Would you?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That'd be cool.
yeah.
So just thinking about 500 years in the future, is humanity just completely Earth-centric like it is now, completely on Earth, making these little side trips? Or do you think at some point there's pockets of humanity outside of the Earth that really are living their life completely independent and they don't really think of Earth as anything other than just another place to go to?
You know, it's funny. My friends and I, we were joking one day that Earth is probably like the Australia of the universe. Like we're the ones that got kicked out of every other planet, so we're the descendants of all the cast-offs. I don't know. I think that would be interesting. I think now that, especially with Virgin and Amazon entering the race, it would be interesting for it to become like world travel was in the 15 and 1600s, where everybody was kind of sending their country members to explore new areas. I would love to see something like that happen.
500 years, that's possible. I mean, I
Yeah.
could see that possibly, where Mars has a colony that's been living on Mars for, 100 years or so or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I'd like to think of that it could happen. Yeah, I would love it.
And this project, I kind of see it as a time capsule capturing people's views right before we enter this new space age, or I've even heard some people call it the true space age,
Yeah.
And I'm like, think that like the real audience for these videos hasn't even been born yet. I kind of imagine a high schooler on Mars, like 100 years from now, doing a paper for a class on what humanity was like before the true space age. And
Right.
she comes across this project and sees this video. Is there anything that you could tell her to help her get an A? And Sylvia, you probably know more about the grading and the rubrics and what would really excite a teacher.
I would think just realize, we're in our infancy with all this still. So many people look at it as in, hey, this is, 60 years into space exploration and we know all this. No, we don't know that much. We hardly know anything. And I think the space program through NASA up to this point has kind of been like the Model T, right? It's the very first of the first. This is our first foray into this type of technology, this type of convenience and learning and reaching. And I would love to see more variety and more access and more companies getting involved in that. And I think some of the partnerships that have come out of that between businesses has been a big bonus for our country too.
Yeah, as far as getting an A, I'll leave it to the teacher to explain how to get the A. But yeah, I mean, like she said, it's kind of an infant program, and it goes back to what I was saying, where we should have been to Mars already because we stopped. And I hope that we don't, slow down so much currently that we just stop and we say, okay, well, we made it to Mars, we're done. We don't. What's more, we'll send drones or whatever to other planets, and that's it. But yeah, I think don't stop. That's about the best advice I could give to anyone in the future is don't stop.
All these people that, like we were talking about, people that complain, that's a lot of money to dump into something that's not solving any problems right now. You can look at that in so many ways. You could look at that with art, with poetry, with literature, with watching television every night, sit there for how are you solving anything by watching movies every night, right? I mean, there's so many things you can say that about, but how many of those things cause advances, give jobs, give encouragement, offer true avenues into not only creativity and technological advancement, but just drive for human race? I mean, just that we have an innate need as a species to explore and create. And I think that foray into space, whether it's through NASA or through one of these business associates or whatever, Amazon, Virgin, whatever, that's creating that for thousands and thousands of people. And so many people are only looking at what it's doing right now. Well, what about what it does for our kids and our grandkids? And just, there's no way to know that. And I think to cut off one avenue to say that it would solve another would actually create more problems than it would solve.
Well, that's a really powerful note. I
That's why I
don't
said
think
I'd
we
leave
could
it up
top
to the
that.
teacher.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've done our part to give that Martian an A. So now they really got to do their homework, as it were.
That's pretty awesome to say Martian. I just loved it. I don't know if you've seen that series. What is it called? Oh, I can't remember. Where they have Mars is its own planet. It's been living. Earth has their own politics. Mars has their politics. I can't remember the name of it, but they call them Martians. Oh, what's that?
Is it The Expanse?
Yes, that's the one. Yes. I love that concept of, that it's just an everyday thing, that there's a whole nother planet out there that has humans living on it, and they have their problems, we have our problems, and it's what it is. I love that.
Yeah, I feel like once we do have like a colony on Mars and there's a reason to go back and forth, and people are like, well, of course you got to go there. There's people there, then that's like
Right.
the driver for the technology and the infrastructure that just naturally evolves into everything else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Once, the explorers on the ships came, you had to send them supplies. So exactly. They had to continue the voyage.
Well, I really appreciate y'all's time, and thank y'all so much for participating in my project. And if you know of anybody else, I only need 1,257 more people, but who's keeping count?
Oh, right. Well, I know about 3 or 4, so that'll be a start.
Are you talking to Michelle Kessman?
Oh, I already did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she hooked me up with a few people also.
Good.
Yeah, awesome. I think it's a great project. When she told me about it, I was like, yeah, it's very unique, and it's good to get good perspectives,
Yeah.
And I'm curious how many people you've come across that have a negative perspective of it. Do you have many of those, or?
I've had, I would say maybe like 5 to 10% have negative perspectives.
Okay.
But I would say, unfortunately, that maybe 60% have a uninformed positive perspective, in the sense that unless you have strong feelings on something, you're probably going to adapt your views and sayings to the person you're talking to.
Right,
So
right.
I think a large part of those people, I go up to them and say, hey, what do you think about us going to the moon? They're like, oh, that's cool. And then
Right.
somebody else goes up to them and says, don't you think it's stupid we're spending all this money to go to the moon? And they're like, yeah, you're right, I think that's stupid. So I
Right.
I think there's a lot of people that I've talked to that are sort of swayable, or not really swayable, but they're just like, I don't care either way. I just want to have a pleasant conversation with whoever I talk to.
Right. I can see that.
The people that have a negative perspective, you have the trade-off discussion, of course, that's common. But a few people, kind of a very small minority, have talked about they don't want to go out into space because they don't want to mess up space. Like,
Yeah.
The human apologist kind of attitude.
Exactly. They're like, until we're able to be perfect humans down here, until we're angels on Earth, we shouldn't be in the sky.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that'll never happen. We're human. That's
one thing as we advance in this realm. It'll be the best and the worst of humanity going, and you can't control that. That's true of everything.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you all again, and
thank you.
Hopefully we'll talk sooner than 20 years next time.
Well, maybe we'll be on Mars then, and we can do it again for whatever the next step is.
Well, at least on the moon.
Or at least
we
on
could
the
have
moon.
the next conversation actually on the moon. There you go.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah, we could have a picnic.
That's right. We'll meet.
We can like see the Earth like this. Go, wow.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, y'all have a good rest of your day then.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.